Today I talk about the strong brain and the weak brain, and which one is telling the truth. Welcome to episode number 26 of the Ian Luebbers journey. So today I had a dance class, a dance practice, and I was pretty tired going into it. So when I started dancing, I immediately felt just pretty massive resistance. And I kept dancing, but it was far more painful than most classes. Most practices, I get into the flow of things, and when I'm dancing, I'll experience pain and fatigue at the end of a routine, but not necessarily throughout. But given the state that I was in today, I felt extremely tired, and I felt a ton of pain and a ton of resistance, even to the point where I was just like, can I really, I had, 2 more rounds left, and I was like, can I really do this? I felt like I was going to throw up. My head was pounding. I felt it was in a very weird state, and a part of me seriously wanted to just stop and just say, this is just, why would you put yourself through this pain? Something's wrong. Today's not a good day. You're not in your normal state. But I pushed through, and I finished. And when I finished, I felt pretty awful, pretty destroyed. But shortly after that, I just got this burst of euphoria, of a runner's high type thing. And I just felt this feeling of I am indomitable. If I can get through something like this consistently, and I even thought about all the shit that I've been through, all of the negative experiences that I've had, all of the times I thought my whatever endeavor I was working on had come to an end, or I'd just failed massively, and I've consistently picked myself up and moved forward. No matter how ugly, no matter how much resistance, no matter how much pain in the long term, I've been able to make my strong brain win. And I'll explain why I personally use these terms in a minute. So the way I like to view this event is something I call this sort of resistance and then pushing through is something I call meeting your maker. And it has analogies in other areas besides exercise, but you feel it particularly intimately in exercise. And I felt this for sure in track when I would run 400s or do intense workouts. It's this point that you reach where you feel almost like the presence of death in a weird way. You feel like your body's dying, and all your instincts, except for your highest ones, except for your strongest ones, are telling you, stop, you're done, this is it, no more, this is painful, we can't take this. Whenever you reach that point, and then you push through, it produces, for me personally, remarkable effects on my psychology, even disregarding the physiological benefits, the benefits to my health and fitness, which are definitely massive as well. Moments like these always put things into perspective, and they always make me incredibly aware of what I call my strong brain and my weak brain. And if we're getting technical, what I'm probably talking about is your amygdala, your reptile brain, the most ancient piece of your brain that responds to things like fear and pain, and your prefrontal cortex, the part that plans and aspires to higher things, that holds your higher values, and I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what I picture. And whenever I go through an experience like this, and it happens as well when it comes to things like it happened to me when I was learning to sell, it happened to me when I was learning to write copy, to sell with words, it happened to me when I was learning to interview strangers about business opportunities, even very early on in my journey. What I call my weak brain would always come up with a massive battery of excuses, some of them extremely good reasons not to do these things. Just like what happened at dance class today, I had very good reasons. If I had stopped dancing, I would have had extremely good reasons for doing so. But in this scenario, my stronger brain went out. The part of my brain, or maybe just even the habit that I built, the default of doing versus not doing, of doing versus stopping, that I built up, came out on top, and I felt absolutely incredible. And I sometimes think about what would happen if I could go back and take all of the times that my weak brain has convinced me not to do something. Or even, let's go a step further and say, even if I could take all of the times that my weak brain has just made me wait, just made me pause, say, well, okay, maybe let's talk about this, let's think about this. Do you really want to do this? Whether that's hopping on a sales call, whether that's doing a difficult workout, whether that's, meeting a new business connection, any of the things that tend to be scary or produce resistance, if I could just replace that with doing, I can't even imagine how many hours I would have won back. And the note that I'll end this on is this weak brain, your amygdala, the ancient part of your brain, is built for a time completely unlike our own. It's built for a time when woolly mammoths and massive predators roamed the earth, when if we heard a stick crack, it was in our best interest to sprint away. There are far fewer dangers in the world today. This is what I always remind myself of. The things that we're afraid of, if we dig really deeply, are often not worthy of our fear. And I've talked about this before, and it'll certainly be a recurrent topic because it's just so central to life and to the way I think about my life. But the thing I always remind myself of is, in most instances, when you have a conflict between your strong brain saying, this is what you committed to, this is what your values say you should do, this would be the worthy thing to do, and your weak brain is saying, stop, don't do this, there's risk, there's pain, there's fear, there's discomfort. In almost every case, for me, the weak brain is lying. It's just lying. It's just not accurate. It's not even a balance of perspectives. In most cases, even the well-reasoned arguments are not worth it. And in the worst cases, they're just ridiculous. Sometimes if you state your reasoning out loud, your reasoning for not doing something just sounds utterly ridiculous. So that's the topic of today. Your strong brain and your weak brain, and paying attention to which one is telling the truth. Would love to hear of any instances or personal experiences you have of this phenomena. And we'll talk tomorrow.